Hello everyone, welcome to the Mammothon tutorials. I hope you're all excited to get started. We're going to start off with a short introduction. So first of all, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Rebecca, I'm the Program Manager for the Mammothon from Encode Club. And I'll be in contact with you throughout the program, and if you have any questions at all, then I'm the person to ask. So just send me a message on Discord or by email, and I'll try my best to help you out in any way that I can. So at Encode Club, we're an education community. We help you learn, build, and forge your careers in emerging technology. We do this through educational events like hackathons, public education series, boot camps, and accelerators. And we hope those of you who are new and joining us from the Mammothon will stick around in our community as you build and grow, because we're really excited to be part of your journey. So let's talk about the Mammothon. It's a really simple process. You have 28 days to build and ship your projects and be in with a chance of winning part of the $250,000 prize pool. So that is huge. The prize pool is going to be split evenly between the top 10 teams across all idea tracks. Now, this is where the Mammothon is a special event. In the Mammothon, you don't have to come up with your own project concept. There are Celestia Ecosystem partners who have shared ideas on what they want to see built on their tech stack. So they've given you all the resources that you need to succeed. You can build unstoppable apps, you can craft on-chain worlds, and you can upgrade the internet. The last thing to mention about the Mammothon before we move on to the tutorials is that in order to participate, you must be in a team of 3 to 5 devs. If you've not already, please read your emails for information on how to build up your team or how to register the other team members in your team to make sure that you qualify to compete in the Mammothon. When we launch, we'll have over 30 ideas, which means a few more are going to be announced very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And each one comes with a matching tutorial. This is really important. We want to make sure that you have everything you need to start the Mammothon so that you succeed. In these workshops, you're going to get all the essential technical skills that you need, and you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions and clarify requirements with each of the idea partners. Okay, so that is everything from me. Let's jump right in.
My name's Rin. I do growth and marketing at Eclipse. I'm joined by Anmo, who leads DeFi at Eclipse. All right, so what is Eclipse? Eclipse is an Ethereum SVM network. That basically means we combine the performance of the Solana virtual machine, incredibly low fees, super high performance with Ethereum's network effects. We're taking the best of both worlds and building Solana on Ethereum, basically. A little bit more about our mission. Eclipse kind of invented the SVM scaling category. I think we've built the first non-Solana SVM chain and scaled that to an incredible degree. We've shipped Solana on Ethereum, and now we kind of want to hyperscale past this, right? Our end goal is to become the best place for apps and users, right? And we want to do this by building the most performant and economically incentive-aligned chain. Just some quick stats about our progress so far. We've launched public mainnet around 2 months ago. We've hit 200 million in TVL. We have 40 live apps. We have around 700,000 total wallets. We've hit 6 billion total transactions, which, if I'm not wrong, is more than Ethereum plus Arbitrum plus Optimism plus Base all combined. And the interesting stat is that just 30% of Eclipse users come from Solana, right? So if you are a Solana builder and you have a protocol or business on Solana and you sort of want to increase your total market opportunity, right? Eclipse is a perfect place to do that because there's likely an entire class of users who are on Ethereum, hold ETH or hold ETH assets, but are not on Solana and will never onboard to Solana, but are also very interested in using your product or service, right? And I think that is the value prop that Eclipse delivers. Some performance stats, we've hit a peak TPS of 8,632 and a sustained TPS of 3,115. If you look at sort of the landscape today, right? Ethereum plus Ethereum rollups, or at least EVM rollups together, probably only have 250 TPS on a good day. We're delivering performance that's an order of magnitude more than that. And this is not a limit at all, right? We're only hitting 3,115 sustained TPS after having saturated one thread in this sort of like scheduler slash sequencer, and this could easily be like 4x or even 10x today. So that is also another reason why you should build on Eclipse. Like we have this level of performance that's just not really possible anywhere else today. And also like we're live on mainnet. It's not like theoretical. You don't have to wait like 2 more months for our mainnet to go live, or like wait for the Q5 that's probably never coming. But moving on to our ideas, right? We have 2 ideas that we're really excited about. The first is AI agents Clash of Clans, and the second is yield search protocol. What is AI agents Clash of Clans, right? It's basically a decentralized version of the popular game Clash of Clans. I'm sure all of you guys have played this, or hopefully have played this at some point in your life. But I think there's a really interesting opportunity to build the same idea on crypto rails, using the fact that, it's a permissionless environment and is the best payment rails possible. And also introducing like sort of increased financial elements and AI elements, right? So at the base, at its core, the idea is very similar to Clash of Clans. You have buildings, you can train troops, you can sort of raid other villages, you have clans. But we think that there's a really interesting angle where AI agents can autonomously manage player villages and defenses. And for example, players can deploy AI-powered strategies to raid and defend. So for example, you can form a clan that's powered by an AI agent. Everyone interacts with this AI agent. This AI agent comes to consensus and sort of like manages it on your own. Or for example, you can tell your AI agent, hey, I want to harvest my resources every 3 hours so that I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night, to optimize my sort of like game state. Or for example, I want to train this type of army. Just figure out what the best type of army is for me, and then just go do it. The second idea that we're thinking of is something called a yield search protocol. So DeFi and economic activity is still the lifeblood of any ecosystem, right? And yield search protocol is basically a protocol designed to rapidly bootstrap liquidity on Eclipse, add in some fun like yield gamification aspects, if say not so nicely, some Ponzi elements. That will sort of like drastically lower the barrier to entry for liquidity providers, but also incentivize early adopters. Right? And I think there's a lot of room to sort of gamify DeFi that hasn't really been explored yet. And I'll talk briefly about why we think these 2 ideas make sense for Eclipse. Starting with the AI agents Clash of Clans, over the long term, we're basically taking a bet that gaming is the way we reach mass adoption, but maybe not gaming in the sense of Axie Infinity play to earn, where there's like ridiculous Ponzi elements and it can go to like 100 billion and then nuke 90% in the bear market. We don't think that's a sustainable form of gaming. However, we think there's a lot of these games, especially mobile games, like Subway Surfers, Clash of Clans, Last Survivor, Candy Crush. These games, if put on crypto rails, can be hyper financialized, and the application developers can increase their average revenue per user just because the game itself and the game mechanics have been hyper financialized, right? I don't think crypto humans themselves are more like degenerate or have a higher like propensity to spend than normal people. It's just that crypto has built this platform where anyone can build these type of degenerate applications, and that enables this type of like behavior from users, right? And I think this is what we're looking forward to. A lot of these games that tie into obvious secular trends: mobile gaming adoption, mobile penetration across both first world and third world countries, the hyper financialization of everything. And it's just a world that is very obvious to us, like people playing video games while making a lot of money playing video games just seems like the future. Which is why we're sort of excited about this AI agents Clash of Clans idea. And obviously, this will likely be a high like sort of requirement game. You're going to have a lot of in-game assets that you're going to mint using Metaplex. There's going to be a lot of transactions for sort of like settlement between like competitions or raids, and Eclipse like sort of uniquely suited for that, right? As far as the yield search protocol goes, Eclipse is at a very interesting intersection between Solana and Ethereum. We use the SVM for execution. We settle to Ethereum, and it's one of the more reasonable places where Sol ETH DeFi can take off. And Sol and ETH, I think we've almost reached a point where they are Lindy. They're probably going to continue to be 2 of the largest assets that people want to hold. And the overlap between the people that want to hold Sol and the people that want to hold ETH will likely only increase. And we basically want Sol ETH DeFi to happen on Eclipse. And obviously, the same thing applies. You want a performant chain that has low latency, has a lot of sort of throughput that can facilitate this level of DeFi activity. I'll dive into the ideas very quickly in terms of like how you should be thinking about it, what sort of factors you have to consider. For the AI agents Clash of Clans, you obviously have to think about your in-game currency token. Is there going to be sort of a token native to the game? Are you going to sort of introduce an external token such as ETH for some form of like payments or purchases in the game? Game economics, obviously that's something that's hard to get right. Where does the token or asset demand come from? You don't want a token, that just like goes up 1,000% and then just nukes 90% every other day. That's probably not the best for the players. Thinking about retention loops, are you going to have daily sign-ins? Are you going to have challenges? Are you going to have social elements? Are you going to have quests? Are you going to have sort of like loot boxes that people can check on? There's a lot of interesting optimizations to be done that's just not explored yet in any crypto game, to be honest. AI agent interaction, how do players interact with these AI agents? Are they going to type with them? Can they interact with other people's AI agents? Can multiple people train an AI agent together? And the last thing is kind of just thinking about the rules of the game, like what are the buildings? What are the troops? How much do they cost? How do I raid someone else? So that's about it for sort of like the factors you should consider for AI agent Clash of Clans. Moving on to yield search. I think the easiest way to think about this idea is that you have this yield protocol where there's sort of like pre-made yield strategy votes plus yield votes, whether that's leverage looping on lending markets, DEX LPing, perp DEX like hedge votes. All of these are votes that you can create. Early participants receive boosted rewards. So you have some sort of like APR. The protocol itself combines this real yield generation from liquidity fee, like trading fees or sort of lending fees with self-sustaining yield dynamics, right? So for example, you could stake various LP receipt tokens within these vault strategies for native token emissions for this yield search protocol. You can stake this native token for additional yield, and hopefully, there's some flywheel there that results in ridiculous APR, but also like a large amount of liquidity that is provided for Eclipse in this sort of whole Sol ETH DeFi ecosystem. I'll take a pause there. I don't know if I'm allowed to answer questions right now. I'm guessing not. So I'm just going to pass it to Anmo for the next slides. Anmo.
Yeah. Ren, I'll just share my own screen.
Okay.
Perfect. Hey, folks. Can someone just send a message in the chat so that I know it's live?
People are laughing emoji, so I think that means yes.
Okay. Is my screen visible right now?
Yep.
Makes sense. Give me just a second. Okay. So as to kind of summarize what Ren said, what is Eclipse? Eclipse is basically the execution environment of Solana, which is the SVM, with the benefits of being an Ethereum L2. So the most asked question as a DevRel at Eclipse that I face from indie developers or teams building on Eclipse is what are the differences between the DevX of Eclipse and Solana? Straight up, it's nothing. It's just a RPC URL change most of the times. To kind of give you more of a in-depth view, look at the last line on this slide. Like you can click on this page in the Eclipse docs, which I'll link. I'll send the PPT to the chat in a bit. But you can go through the page, which lists out all the differences between Eclipse and Solana. There are namely two. One is the native currency of Eclipse is ETH as compared to Sol. And the other is priority fees and how it is calculated when you are integrating the front end and the smart contract using Web3.js. Moving on to how do you get started, right? If you're building on the Eclipse DevNet, which is very similar to the Solana DevNet as it's a fork, the command Solana airdrop 0.1 or Solana airdrop 1 works as expected because the Solana CLI is directly compatible with Eclipse. So whatever you have learned while building on Solana, it converts really well into just building on Eclipse. If you're building on our testnet, it's the same, change the RPC URL to the testnet RPC, but bridging is a slightly different method. You can't Solana airdrop. The command does not work. You just have to bridge through the Sepolia testnet of Ethereum. You just go on bridge.eclipse.xyz or app.eclipse.xyz and make sure on the top left you have changed from mainnet to testnet, and you can bridge as many ETH from Sepolia you want to Eclipse. Kind of a life hack that I discovered while building on Solana myself a while back is what Remix serves for the EVM change, which is like a playground where you write, debug, test your smart contracts. You can do that on the Solana playground for the SVM chains. We are trying to kind of put a PR in this month for a native Eclipse integration into the Solana playground. But for now, you can just go in the settings, change the endpoint to Eclipse testnet or Eclipse devnet, and you can deploy and test your smart contracts right then and there on your browser IDE. Kind of to link you to the best resources out here on building on Eclipse, considering that we are totally compatible with Solana, just a couple of versions behind on the SVM, the Solana Developer Bootcamp that came out like 2 months back is the best resource to learn how to build on Eclipse. They have a bunch of live examples, and they kind of dive straight into multiple types of apps. If you're building an NFT collection, or if you're building a minter, or if you're building a DeFi protocol, they take you through the entire process in like 2 videos, which are like 8 hours long each. So you cover a massive breadth of information. The second link I would kind of recommend to you are just basic smart contract or like program examples on the Solana docs. Honestly, it's a very wide collection of very starter programs that you will most probably use in every single app you're making. The third one is the Eclipse RPC page, where you can just copy and paste RPC URL links for like DevNet, testnet, and mainnet. And the fourth would be the Solana Anchor Basics video tutorial. And if you want to refer the Anchor docs, Anchor is basically a framework that makes it easy to develop on Solana and Eclipse. And the fifth one would be the Eclipse docs itself. I have linked a separate doc below and on the bottom of the page, which is basically what your ideal tech stack should look like while building like the AI agent Clash of Clans games. It goes very in depth in making your choice, in kind of choosing what kind of framework or like what SDK you should choose, which is compatible with Solana and Eclipse. And the main difference again would be just changing the RPC URL in like the Unity SDK or the Magic Block SDK. Ren, can you send the slides link in the chat once?
Yeah, sorry, I'm sending the links. I should probably just send the slides link.
Yeah. So, like as always, I'm always available on Telegram, same as Ren. If you open the doc that I mentioned last, the tech stack one, we have linked our TGs down below at the bottom. Feel free to text me 24/7, any time zone, any day of the week. I'm mostly always up, and if I'm not, Ren will be. We are happy to kind of handhold you through the entire process of building on Eclipse, be it connecting with any of the major providers that you want, kind of helping you with subsidized deals that you might want if you want to go to production on mainnet. And I'm very excited to kind of build along with you these games or these apps, like I've been in the previous months while being a DevRel at Eclipse. Thank you. Let me just
Thank you very much, both of you, for giving that overview.
Feel free to consider me as a teammate as well. Like the way I operate is I'm building that app with you, with every single team. Any problem you face, I'm the person you reach out to, or Ren is the person you reach out to. Even if it is not Eclipse related and it is just dev related, I would love to talk to you about any other ideas you're building outside of the hackathon as well.
They would like to know more about the NFT on Eclipse that you were talking about.
I think I mentioned NFTs when I was explaining the AI agents Clash of Clans. But basically, like every NFT standard you have on Solana, whether that's like Token 2022 or like CNFTs, the entire like Metaplex, like Bubblegum, all of the fancy like tools that they have are available on Solana, on Eclipse today, and probably also like 1/5 the cost. So whatever is possible on Solana is also possible on Eclipse. You know, you can just go absolutely ham and mint like 1 million C NFTs for like, I don't know how many cents. But yeah, I think that's sort of like the NFTs on Eclipse. That's sort of like the developer tooling for NFTs.
Basically, to summarize, cheap, fast, and like great ecosystem support. What's not there to like?
Mohammed, yeah, Rust is the main programming language for the Solana stack. All right, 2 questions.
The last thing I would like to say is the ideas we have listed on the Mammothon website on Encode, I would say take them as like a grain of salt, because I would love for you to guys build exactly that. But I feel people are very creative, like especially devs. People think that development and engineering is not a creative field, but when you start working on something, you come up with different ideas which might be better than the ones that we gave you. Would love for you guys to stick to kind of the structure we have set, but if you have something great that you are building and would like to share with us, would love to kind of participate in that conversation as well. Like anything that you think would work on Eclipse, because the way it is built, cheap, fast, one of the highest TPS, as Ren said, combined transactions of optimism, arbitrum, and a bunch of L2s. I think it's a very ripe playground for you to kind of test around and build.
That's great for developers who were wanting to participate in the Mammothon but don't necessarily want to be constrained to one idea. It's good that in the Eclipse idea you have a bit of freedom to explore new routes that could be added on top of the idea as it's defined in the Mammothon guidelines. So for those developers who wanted to be a bit more creative, this is a really good option. Okay, I think that means that we don't have any other questions. So then that just leaves it to me to thank Ren and Anmol for coming in and giving this tutorial.